episode. Shout out Kobe Bean Bryant. R.I.P. to a legend. R.I.P. to a legend. What's up, peeps? We are back in the juice, in the thick of March, episode 24. We are back. We're past one weekend of March Madness. We're going to check in on these brackets, check on our hopes, our dreams, our failures. Evan, how we doing? Good to be back.
We're doing great. What a first weekend of March Madness. Really was one of the more enjoyable weekends that I've had personally watching March Madness because not only did my champion survive the first weekend, it was just great basketball. So many great games.
I agree.
So many good storylines. I mean, we kicked it off right away Thursday. You got Virginia and Furman. That amazing buzzer beater by Furman. Well, it wasn't a buzzer beater technically, but you know what I mean.
It was
last
a
second
mistake.
shot. Yeah, just crazy. Kihei Clark throwing it. 3-pointer for Furman, taking the lead. I mean, just incredible. Some of those other great games. I mean, where to stop, really? Purdue, FDU, another 1 seed goes down.
To a 16. Second time in history. We win history again.
Right? I mean, Princeton over Arizona, the 15 seed, the Ivy League school. No one saw that coming. Just some great games all around, some great upsets. And how about the Big Ten? Right on par with what they do all season long, what they do every tournament. Disappointing, except for one school, and that is the Michigan State Spartans, the only Big Ten team left in the NCAA tournament. Out of the 8 schools that made it representing the Big Ten, MSU, of course. What's new? Great to see that.
I mean, that's probably the only Big Ten school I had faith in besides maybe Penn State. Knew Iowa wasn't going to get anything done. Penn State could make a little rumble or run, but I didn't think much of it. Michigan State, even though I don't think they have the extended talent that they've had, but they have the coach that knows how to do it.
Izzo's the man.
You can't disrespect Izzo for what he's done.
No.
That man is officially with Jim Boeheim retiring. That man is probably the top of the what I call like 3 legendary top coaches left. And to me, Izzo, Self, and I guess Calipari. Those would be my top 3 big dogs left right now in the game.
I mean, you could argue maybe Mark Few.
That's a tough argument, but it can be a tough argument with Coach Cal.
Yeah,
you love him as a coach, you love Kentucky, but that one title and all these recruits coming in, it's tough because it's weird because Few has the consistency of guys that stay, but he plays lesser opponents. But Coach Cal has the talent coming in, but 1 year, but he plays the harder opponent. So
now the tourney really starts for Gonzaga, and shame on me for not picking them to at least make it to the Sweet 16, at least in the brackets that we did, and in basically all the brackets. I was pretty confident in TCU, but
they were close.
Gonzaga knows how to get to the Sweet 16. It's just getting to the Final Four and winning in the Final Four. That's what has escaped Mark Few and his Gonzaga teams. But just a terrific first round, terrific second round. So many great games. We'll update you on our brackets briefly here. I just want to give a quick shout to myself. Duke Blue Devils, I said there was one spread that I loved, Duke minus 6.5 over Oral Roberts. That was the one bet that I said on the pod that I'm making in terms of spread betting. Duke won by 23. So if you listen to me, Duke minus 6.5, I felt like that was a layup. Vegas wanted you to take Oral Roberts. They were giving you that 6.5. Everyone was hammering Oral Roberts. We've seen Oral Roberts do it. Sorry.
Not anymore.
This Duke team, when they're fully healthy, capable of many, many big things. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case against Tennessee. And Tennessee just playing bully ball. I mean, FAU, the Owls of Florida Atlantic, who would have thought they'd be in the Sweet 16? Their coach even said, we're going to watch some rugby tape to try to defend Tennessee because that's just the way they play. Aggressive, bully-style basketball. Duke felt it without Mark Mitchell. That's why they lost to Tennessee, really.
Unfortunate.
And that was one of your Final Four picks.
Not on the pod bracket, but my probably most important bracket that I had. Duke, or it was my Final Four pick on the pod, but
right,
for one you're right. I caught that. But my most important bracket, I had them winning it all, so it was unfortunate for me. But The pod bracket's still active and alive.
Yes.
That's what matters now.
The other team that unfortunately fell for you, which was shocking, was how about Musselman and those Razorbacks, man? The Pigs.
They were hogging, man.
They know how to get to the Sweet 16. Arkansas is a really good tournament team. No one really talks about them as being that sneaky team, but they have performed very well as of late in March. Kansas, the latest victim. Talk to me, man. You were on Kansas going to the Final Four. They're not there. The champs are out. What are your thoughts?
I know in the other brackets that I made, I know one of them, I put Kansas in the championship game, but I knew they weren't going to win it back-to-back. They just didn't have enough. And they kind of like we've seen it throughout the Big 12 season. I mean, granted, the Big 12 has been crazy good this
It's
season.
an absolute grind, and I think that wears on a team.
I agree. And they did have the most, they had the best wins coming into the tournament. Obviously, they weren't the number 1 seed, but they just didn't have enough, especially when you have some new guys. I get there's veterans from last year's national championship team, but a slight factor that can still really affect them was not having Bill Self there.
Right.
And, a coach like that's a championship-winning coach. We saw it last year, but they just didn't have enough for them. The defense of Arkansas was too much for them. They just weren't getting, and they weren't really getting anything flowing. They were just kind of playing the game. Like there's no hot streaks or anything.
And I feel like the one thing that no one was really talking about when it came to Kansas is their lack of interior presence is, at least for me, a concern.
I agree.
And not that Arkansas is this physically imposing team, but I think what you have seen with Kansas in the past, they've had a big that they can go to that's been a force down low, that's been a paint protector, and can really just change the way Kansas plays. And we saw that a lot with Azubike.
Yeah,
right?
last year.
Yep.
In the past with Embiid and who else? I'm trying to think. I mean, used to have Perry Ellis for 16 years.
They just have had guys down low that were offering a presence, and they just didn't have that this year. So I felt like that was going to catch up to Kansas, and that Big 12 schedule it beats you down. It's an absolute grind. We only have 2 Big 12 teams left: the Big 12 tourney champ in Texas and Kansas State. I mean, that's all that's left from the Big 12, and a lot of people, had Kansas in their Final Four, in their championship game. I mean, I'm not sure about some of these other squads, but I mean, I saw some from Baylor. I saw a couple Baylors had them in the Elite Eight. I mean,
I didn't trust Baylor enough. I just didn't trust them enough. We talked about that. Like, Baylor and Gonzaga the past couple of years were kind of dominant in like the top 5, and this year, they were out approaching, the 10.
Right.
So it was like, how much do we trust them? Clearly, Gonzaga is right now is the better move, which we realize. But next year will be more interesting. Because Drew Timme, I think, finally has to leave Gonzaga. He's going to be forced out
yes,
finally.
He will finally be forced out.
So we'll see who their next guy is. Every year there's somebody. They went from they had Timme, and then they quickly went to Timme and Holmgren, and now Timme stayed again. Suggs was around. They'll find their new guy, even if it's give them a gap year. They'll have a new guy real quick.
Right.
Mark Few's not going to leave there.
No. Gonzaga, they'll be just fine. But really shocking, at least for me. I mean, I guess I did pick UConn over Kansas, so I'm not too shocked that they lost. But still, I do think it's surprising that, for as good as the Big 12 was, only having 2 teams make it to the Sweet 16, that just surprised me a little bit. Now, I did pick Creighton over Baylor. I did pick UConn over Kansas, like I said. Not entirely surprising to me, but I guess I am still a little bit surprised that we only have 2 Big 12 schools and 1 Big 10 school. I mean, it's crazy that these monoliths of conferences end up barely getting anyone into the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. It's maddening when you think about it, but really it comes down to me, who is going to make it out of the Big East? The Big East has kind of been that tournament. You got Xavier, UConn, and Creighton.
SEC's got 3 with Bama, Tennessee, and who am I thinking of? They got 3. Bama, Tennessee.
Miami. No, Miami's ACC. I'm sorry.
No, there was another one. Arkansas.
Yes. So SEC's looking good. They usually do. But, I mean, you look at the Big 12. They've had Baylor, national champion, Kansas, national champion. It just feels like it's been running through the Big 12 lately. And
I mean, we saw that this
it
year.
still could this year. I mean,
Yeah,
Texas
absolutely.
looks great. I want to put it past K-State and Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson, but
Texas has the bigger opportunity.
they do.
They don't have to go. They don't have to face Bama yet.
No, and they wouldn't face Bama till the national championship game if that occurred.
Which would be great.
But speaking of national championship odds, let's talk about one team that I bet on. I said on the pod last week I was betting on. How about the UConn Huskies? They're my team to win it all. They were plus 2,400 to win it all before the tournament. Now they're just plus 900. So you're talking about a massive difference in where they were to start and where they are now. Kansas has been knocked out for them. They get an Arkansas team and then the winner of Gonzaga and UCLA. I like UConn's chances a lot. I think they match up great. Adama Sanogo he reminds me of, and this comparison is going to sound crazy, but it's like a college Joel Embiid. Like the way he's playing right now, he's more dominant than everyone on the court. His presence jumps off the screen, and he is an absolute bully down low. He's doing everything Joel Embiid does for the Sixers, except it's at a college level and obviously to a lesser degree. But that's just the kind of impact he has. And we haven't even seen the best of Jordan Hawkins yet. Their star guard. Great size, great talent, great shooter. Just needs to get it going a little bit. UConn looks like a fantastic pick, and Vegas is kind of let you know, plus 900, it's shrunk. It has shrunk. So I love that UConn pick for me. And Vegas is kind of on that train too now, where I believe they're the fifth lowest odds, I guess, to win it all now, right behind, I believe, Bama, Houston, I want to say Texas, and then UCLA, I think, is still a hair above them. But just kind of crazy in that sense that, going from plus 2,400 to plus 900.
They're playing good ball right now. They're just playing straight, clean basketball, and now's the time to do it.
It's crazy. But then a couple other teams that I want to shout out here too, and they are playing each other this Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. Kansas State, Michigan State. I told you guys a couple weeks ago, Kansas State plus 1,000 to make the Final Four. That's now plus 320. Okay, so that's some good value there. If you got on it when it was plus 1,000, I believe it was plus 900 before the tournament started to get to the Final Four. So I'm glad I jumped on that when I did. And then Michigan State. I bet on this as a Sparty myself, plus 1,200 to get to the Final Four. That was before the tournament started. Now, plus 270, even better than Kansas State. That is insanity. So, some great value there. If you want a broader picture on the most likely teams to make it to the Final Four, if you look at the East region, Tennessee's still the favorite there, plus 120. Well, I shouldn't say still the favorite, but now the favorite at plus 120. In the Midwest, it's Houston, followed by Texas, Xavier, then Miami. Alabama in the South, followed by Creighton. Creighton just plus 175. They're pretty confident they're going to get to the Elite Eight. You know how I feel about Creighton.
Something about them.
That's a sneaky pick. And then in the West, UCLA, Connecticut, Gonzaga, Arkansas. Huskies and the Bruins are plus 185 to make it.
My dad's got the Bruins.
So they're both even odds there. Oh, I shouldn't say even odds, but equal odds. And then Gonzaga right behind them at plus 230. Pretty crazy stuff. And if you want who's going to win it all, I was actually wrong in terms of order, most likely. Bama, Houston, UCLA, Connecticut, Creighton, Texas, Tennessee, Gonzaga, MSU. That is the top 9. In terms of winning it all. Michigan State, the lowest there at plus 2,500. We can go even further down with K-State, San Diego State, blah, 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 blah.
FAU.
But, yes. But Princeton, you can get them at plus 15,000.
That's crazy.
But No, just
Princeton beats Creighton, dude.
no, it's just crazy how the odds change just from 2 games, right? I mean, Michigan State plus 1,200 to go to the Final Four, now just plus 270. That's insane. That is insane. So I thought that was interesting.
That'll be a good game, man. 6:30 on Thursday, I think.
6:30 on Thursday. Yep,
In the Garden.
in MSG. That's gonna be a great game.
That's so that was one of the biggest reasons why I was rooting for FDU against Florida Atlantic, because I'm like, think about those boys, beating coming out of nowhere, weren't even supposed to be here, beat the number 1 seed, beat another team, and now they get to go play in the Garden, like 2 hours probably from Jersey, maybe less than that from where they're balling.
Right, yeah.
Whole crowd could come up to the Garden. That would have been nuts. FDU, the Garden, and then head into the Final Four from the Garden.
Right.
That would have been the craziest.
And they were in
story.
that game versus Florida Atlantic.
They were
in that game versus FAU.
They just started choking.
Shout out FDU, man. What a great story. And like you said, they shouldn't have even been there. That was Merrimack won the conference tournament.
And then because they're not fully D1 yet, they couldn't be in it. That's insane.
I know.
How does that even work?
They win the play-in game, right? They beat who they beat?
They had to beat
Texas
TSU.
Southern. They beat TSU.
And we're like, what? Because Texas Southern's been there before.
Right. And then
they come out of nowhere, beat Purdue, who's got the giant of
Zach Edey doesn't shoot the ball for the final, 12 minutes?
Mm-mm.
That's crazy.
They were finessing those boards. They were finally getting those boards in the last couple minutes.
Terrific stuff from FDU. And shout out Tobin Anderson. Tobin Anderson,
Yeah.
I believe his name. New head coach of the Iona Gales, Rick Pitino, off to St. John's. Just what a crazy turnaround for him and that program. They won 4 games last year. I mean, he let it be known this team won 4 games last year. Now we're, having a chance to play for the Sweet 16. Just unreal story. That's what March is made for.
I wonder if he's bringing any of his boys to Iona with him.
I wouldn't put it past him. I would not put it past him. But
and it would work out. It would work out because Patino may be taking some Gales with him to the Red Storm.
Probably.
Did you see, side news, did you see that the former coach of the Red Storm, the most recent one, is suing them for false firing?
No.
Yeah, he's suing them for the certain causes they gave for firing him.
Oh.
Because I guess there were talks that he wasn't properly, managing the students, like in academic affairs and like certain stuff, and he's like, no, that's not true. So now he's suing the school, trying to get his money. He's using the same lawyer, I guess, as Matt Rule, trying to get his money. Matt Rule, you just got a bag from Nebraska. Why are you suing the Panthers, dude? You sucked. That was plain and simple.
I mean, we don't know what these contracts are, how they're structured, but it does feel like coaches can get fired for basically anything. So I don't really know how they win.
It's pretty much.
I mean, they'll probably just get a settlement.
It's pretty much allegation. You're either bad or there's allegations. It's one or the other. Like I mean, or both. Then you're really ruined. But I don't know. But look where Patino is after everything he's been through.
Hey, Rick Pitino's the man.
He's a good coach. He wants to coach till he's 80.
Coach. Yeah, he's got it in him. He's got it in him for
got
sure.
That dog in him.
Well, let's check in on our final 4 picks on our brackets here. So,
absolutely,
Justin, we'll start you off. Bama still looking good,
and I have him in my championship. I got him win the whole thing.
You got to win the whole thing.
We're safe. We're safe right now. Duke took an unfortunate downfall.
Yes.
Did take an unfortunate downfall. However, I do have them playing Kansas State in the Elite Eight, so that could be a nice little juicy add-on at that point. Texas is also my championship, and they are still active in the Midwest for me. I actually have Texas and Houston both active in the Elite Eight, so we could get that going. Unfortunately, yes, like we talked before, Kansas did fall. Unfortunate. I knew they weren't going to go back-to-back. That's why I had them losing in the Final Four. I felt like that was a smarter pick than having them losing in the championship. Now, in another bracket I made the wrong other mistake by putting them in. But I did have them losing. But it was unfortunate. I know the Jayhawks will be back. I always love Kansas. But they'll still have a great future. I'm really excited to see how Duke does in the future because, when they're healthy, it's a different team. Clearly, they all need to be healthy.
Yes.
Because they don't have. They have like we talked about before. I said like they have guys that are known, but it's not there's no crazy big names locked in on that team. With all the hype of the past. With that crazy championship team with Okafor and who am I thinking? Gosh, Trey Jones and man, who was my favorite guy? What's his name? He's been bouncing around the NBA. He was on the Heat for a while. Justice Winslow. That was quite a team, And then you got like guys that later come on, Bagley, Jason Tatum, and then the crew of Ingram. And then you got the crew of Reddish, Barrett, and
Tatum,
Zion. Yeah,
can't forget about him. They've had so much talent, but you're right. This I guess this recruiting class for Duke still getting 5 stars, but not those next level guys. At least not yet. Like not the crazy high NBA prospects.
Yeah, ready to go.
Where you're getting a Brandon Ingram, you're getting a Jason Tatum, you're getting a Zion and RJ Barrett. Like, just wasn't there for Duke, but still a really good team. And 19-1 when fully healthy. When all 5 stars were healthy, they were 19-1 the season. They probably beat Tennessee if Mark Mitchell doesn't get hurt during the warm-ups. And Mark Mitchell's a solid player. That's unfortunate for Duke. And I don't like Duke, but I would have liked to see them go a little bit further because I cannot stand Tennessee basketball. I think they're complete frauds. And I would not put it past the Owls to beat them when they square off. But in terms of my Final Four, mine is still intact. I have Alabama, just like Justin does, and they are in my championship game. I got Michigan State in the Final Four, and they are looking good. Got to take down Kansas State first. I got Houston, who has concerned me, honestly, in the first 2 games. I wasn't totally convinced by what I saw, but I don't know. Houston's just kind of scrappy, and they can just find a way.
They get it done.
They just find a way, and that's kind of what I like about them. And then UConn. That's my winner. I believe 100% in UConn. I think they are guaranteed a Final Four spot. They are, to me, they are the best team in America. That's the way I felt about them before the tournament started. They just had to put it together in this tournament, and they are doing that thus far. And do not discredit the Gales of St. Mary's. I know we picked VCU in this bracket, but do not discredit the Gales of St. Mary's. They've beaten Gonzaga this season. They have a tough team, and they have some really good players, too. I believe they have, I'm forgetting their one kid's name, but he's like the best recruit they've ever gotten. Terrific basketball player. The Gales are going to be good for a minute, and they are, they compete with Gonzaga year to year. It's not like this is, the Gales are now.
They're always a threat.
They're always a threat. They're a very good team. So
if
that
you're
was
trying
an
to go to
impressive win over
Gonzaga
UConn,
and you can't get there,
or that was an impressive win for UConn. Yeah, literally.
You go to St. Mary's.
Literally, but I love my Final Four. Hopefully,
I like it too.
Hopefully, everyone advances. I mean, how crazy would that be if I picked the Final Four right? I should have. I don't know if you can parlay. I'm pretty sure you could have parlayed.
Oh
that,
yeah, definitely. That'd been crazy. That payout would have to be nuts.
Oh yeah. I mean, MSU plus 1,200. UConn probably was, I'd guess plus 750, something like that at least. Bama and Houston probably not crazy, but still, you throw that in there, plus odds. Probably, who knows what that would have been? Probably something nuts, but I don't care. I love it. We're gonna keep loving it, keep backing it. But
I'd love a Husky win. I loved seeing Kemba run it and then Shabazz run it back again a couple years later.
Something about UConn,
they have a vibe. I enjoy UConn. I had a mini Huskies basketball from like the early 2000s that I got from my grandfather, which was crazy. I was like, "Where'd you have this?" He's like, "Oh, I just kind of had it in my garage." And I was like, "This is insane." And that's where I started liking UConn. It was ironic, and that was literally the year. Like I was like, okay. Then I started watching college basketball, and it was ironically the year I think Kemba started there, and I was like, whoa.
That Shabazz run, that does not get talked about enough.
No.
Unreal what that team was able to do. They were a 7 seed. Like everyone forgets, that team they were not supposed to win at all. And
him and Boatwright, dude.
And they went out and did it. And unreal stuff. But Final Fours, there it is. I mean, in terms of what you want to see this weekend, I mean, I think we're both hoping that Creighton gets it done, obviously versus Princeton. And then I'm not going to be rooting for Creighton to beat Bama, but
that'd be nuts.
That would be crazy.
Creighton in the Final Four.
I'm not going to be disappointed if Creighton beats Bama. Like, I'm going to be pretty I'm not going to say ecstatic, but I'm going to be pretty, like,
Jazz.
I'm going to be kind of happy because I like Creighton basketball, and I really like this team. So, and I don't know, just it'd be cool. That's all I'm saying. On the other side of the bracket, Houston, Xavier, Texas, Miami. I mean, I feel like Houston can get it done versus Miami. Xavier, Texas, we'll see. That's going to be a good game, though.
UConn, Arkansas, man.
Arkansas can definitely give UConn problems. They're playing that kind of basketball right now. I expect Arkansas to be able to score and cause a little bit of trouble for UConn, but at the end of the day, I just don't know who is guarding Sonogo. I just don't know who matches up with Sonogo. He's just too much. He's too much. Gonzaga, UCLA, that should be a great game.
Yes,
that's a West Coast classic right there.
Is that a rematch?
No, but
from the Final Four?
Yeah, from the Final Four. Jalen Suggs, half court buzzer
that
beater.
UCLA run, that was crazy.
Right.
First four out to the Final Four.
Right.
Literally an unfortunate shot away from potentially a national championship.
Some revenge for Mick Cronin. And then on the other side, FAU, Tennessee. I mean, craziness
That could be
there.
up in the air, man.
And Michigan State, K-State.
All day, man.
We'll see how it goes down. But we got our picks here. I picked 4 games for us to pick, spread-wise. I'm going to be betting all 4. These are my 4 picks that I love this weekend. I'll keep you guys posted on if, I see some picks after the Sweet 16 occurs going into the Elite 8. We'll see if there's some picks on the slate that we like. We'll keep you posted on the Twitter, obviously, of course. But now let's get into these Sweet 16 picks. Like I said, we got 4 of them. Justin, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Hit me with those picks.
All right, so game 1, the first game of the Sweet 16, 6:30 Thursday, Michigan State, Kansas State. Kansas State plus 1.5. They are not the favorite. You'd think that the 3 seed would be favored over the 7 seed, but Vegas says nope. We're favoring Sparty. Justin, take it away. It's your Wildcats versus my Spartans. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's going to be a grind of a game. It's going to be back and forth. It's going to be bodies hitting the floor. It's going to be guys getting crossed up, quick pull-ups. It's hard to say who's going to win this game. My mind tells me K-State's going to win this game. But something about Michigan State, I know some of these guys are kind of newer to this. Some have been here before, but Izzo knows how to game plan. He's not this man's been at it for 20 plus years. He as they say, January, February, Izzo, April, March is the month of him. But I don't know. It's hard. It's so hard for me to not root for Kansas State. I know it's like the Michigan biased in me, but I love Kansas State. Hence why I got the new helmets in. Shout out to the new helmets. Now I got my helmets after he has his.
Finally,
yeah. Cancel your orders with blank. But I have to go Kansas State.
No,
I have to go Kansas State. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that my thing is, what my thing is? If K-State wins, it's tough because it depends on who they play. I would have told you if K-State wins, I don't think they go to the Final Four. But if MSU wins, they can go to the Final Four. It's really weird in my mind like that.
That's funny because to me, the winner of this game is going to the Final Four.
I don't, and that's another thing. I don't disagree with that either. It's very controversial in my mind.
For me, it's I've been looking at Vegas spreads, and that's kind of how I've been playing this tournament so far because I did make more picks additionally to the Duke minus 6.5. I just didn't put them on the pod because I was just kind of, playing around, throw a couple bucks on this, you're just watching the game, whatever, right? I mean, there's so many games to bet on. It's like, why not have a little fun with it? But when I look at this spread, I do think it's a bit odd that Michigan State is favored. It opened up Kansas State, I believe, -2. Then it jumped the other way to Michigan State -1.5. There's a lot of action on both sides, really. But for me, I just think when Vegas is kind of telling you, look, We think Michigan State's a better team. And when Michigan State hasn't even shot the ball well yet, I mean, Michigan State's calling card has been the three-point shot.
Mm-hmm.
And they have shot the ball terribly from three to start the tournament. If that three-point shot goes in and it starts clicking, Kansas State has no chance because the way Michigan State is playing defensively right now is incredible. And Jane Akins, Hogarth, they can lock up Marquise Noel. I'm a little bit concerned about Keontae Johnson, but
Keontae Johnson's that guy.
I do think the formula is there for Michigan State to win this game. I'd be more scared of Kentucky because of Oscar Tshiebwe, round 2. I know Michigan State won the first matchup, but having to face him again, that would have given me a little bit more pause, a little bit more concern. I think Kansas State matches up beautifully with Michigan State, so I'm taking the Spartans just because. I'm putting my bias aside, really. I'm looking at this from an objective perspective. Vegas is telling you we think Michigan State's better. Michigan State hasn't shot the ball well yet, and they are fully capable of doing so. They're one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country. And matchup-wise, they match up well with Kansas State and can play them hard defensively. So I think you factor in those three things. Also, just what I've seen from them so far in the tournament, I like the Spartans to cover the spread. I'm taking Michigan State -1.5. All right.
Can't let my Wildcats down.
No, and that's fair. On to game 2. Florida Atlantic University. Who would have thought the Owls are in the Sweet 16 versus another team? Who would have thought? Tennessee. The Volunteers. Tennessee is a -5.5 point favorite. Take it away. You are a noted Tennessee guy.
I am. I'm more football when it comes to the Vols.
Obviously.
Yeah,
but
100%. But yeah.
Thoughts
Tennessee,
on this one?
I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. For some reason, the past 2 or 3 years, I've not liked the Tennessee basketball teams. I've always been a fan of them, but something about them recently just hasn't been what I'm used to. Like I like the Bones. What do I want to say? Williams. That team was good.
Yep.
I always forget his first name. I literally just saw a video of him the other day.
Jordan Bone.
No, not him. Is it Patrick Williams? Not Patrick Williams.
Grant Williams.
Grant Williams. Yeah. I love that team.
And
I
Admiral
feel like,
Schofield.
Yeah, and Schofield. Oh, I think that was the best team of recent, in my opinion, for Tennessee. But after that team left, I don't know. It hasn't been the same.
Is that the Tennessee team that choked against Purdue?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough watch there. But Purdue now.
Can never let that one down.
No, you can't. After that, Isn't it crazy that the first time we saw a 16, I was with you the first time a 16 seed beat a 1 seed. We were in your dorm.
Yep.
And that was crazy.
Tragic. Tragedy struck.
That was a good time. Everything was going nuts. That room was nuts.
And I was the only one that had Virginia in that room, at least. Everyone else was just...
Yeah, all the way or something.
I was just getting memed and dragged through the mud. It was a horrible experience.
But anyway...
but I'm happy because Furman shot the Paladins. They beat Virginia.
Yeah, shout out to Furman.
I
had those boys. I had those boys win back-to-back games.
My vengeance is... The prophecy is being fulfilled against that team, against those stupid Cavaliers.
They were a joke of a team this year anyway. But I really think there's something about FAU. They're long, they're athletic, they can move the ball well, they play good defensively, they make their shots more often than not. I don't know, there's just something about them. I get the grit and like you say, the bully ball of Tennessee can be a lot for a team, but I think FAU can handle it. What did we say this? What was the
5.5? So Tennessee's favored by 5.5. We don't like that 5.5 number. That's a scary number. It's a scary number in football. It can be scary in basketball.
It's asking you to take one.
Right.
Oh, I feel like somehow Tennessee's going to come on top, but I really want to take FAU in this one, man.
Well, let's look at Vegas, right? Vegas, according to Action Network Public, slightly favoring FAU right now.
Interesting.
I feel like that's not totally indicative of how the public feels, but I guess that's how it's being played out. I'm on the Owls here. I think, look, Rick Barnes, he's lucky to be in the Sweet 16. He's not a very good NCAA tournament coach. Tennessee's known choke artist. This is the kind of game where Tennessee folds, right? I mean, I'm not saying FAU wins, but I think this is a close game. I don't think FAU goes anywhere. They played a really tough Memphis team. A lot of people say Memphis should have won that game. Controversial calls, whatever. FAU won the game. Let it go. And then they beat an inspired FDU group who just beat Purdue. And Purdue should have easily won that game with a guy like Zach Edey. So it's impressive that FAU has been able to beat a Memphis team that just off the heels of beating Houston, one of the best teams in the country, and then beating FDU, who, again, off the heels of being one of the best teams in the country, in Purdue. FAU's just got something about them. I like their attitude going into this game, too. I like what their coach is saying. I'm taking the Owls plus 5.5. Something about FAU just kind of feeling right to me. So, and that 5.5 point spread, I mean, come on, it's Tennessee. It's Rick Barnes. This is what they do. They get you to think they're good and to think they got a shot at doing this, and then what do you know? It all comes crashing down. So I'm taking the Owls here.
I'm on the Owls, too.
I love it. I think we're on the right side of it. We haven't been on the right side of many.
Even if they win,
I'm
agree.
feeling good about this one.
I think, I agree. Tennessee may win, but I think it's closer than they're given respect to. I think it should be like a 2.5, 3 game.
I think it will be like final possession, really.
Yeah.
All right. Third game that's being played at 9:45 on Thursday. Oh, and by the way, FAU Tennessee, that is at 9 p.m. on Thursday. This game, 9:45 on Thursday, Gonzaga UCLA. The rematch, like we just said, of the Final Four from a couple of years ago. Gonzaga, not the favorite, although I feel like some might have think they should be. It's UCLA who's favored, minus 2.5.
UCLA.
This spread actually kind of interests me because UCLA down Jalen Clark, gritty, tough win over Northwestern. Gonzaga with a similar win against TCU, but you know, when I first saw this spread, or at least when I first saw this matchup, I kind of thought Gonzaga would be a slight favorite, but it is in fact the Bruins. I was thinking maybe like 1.5, like a slight favorite, just because of the way they play and having Drew Timme, having Mark Few, just Gonzaga's history, I guess. I don't know. I think UCLA is a better team, but I just mentally, like when I see this matchup, I guess I was like, Gonzaga feels like a 1-point favorite, but no, it's UCLA. What are your thoughts on this one? I know you like both of these teams, but
I'm a fan of one more than the other, but I come from a man who is a diehard Gonzaga fan. He's been a Gonzaga fan for years, and this is the first year he hasn't picked Gonzaga to win it all, my father, and he is eating his words right now. But ironically, he picked UCLA to win it all. I love UCLA. I miss Johnny Zuzang. Juzang.
But I think they're better without him.
I don't disagree with that statement. I don't disagree. They did lose a key player to the ACL injury.
Jalen Clark, yeah.
Unfortunate. But this team still knows how to play well together. They have the experience of that crazy run because they're all juniors now. You know, they got that. They got experience now, and I kind of trust them more. I think they have more. There's more factors to them than Gonzaga. You know, Drew Timme and his mustache can only do so much.
Right. UCLA is very talented, and the loss of Jalen Clark allowed Amari Bailey to ascend a little bit, and 5-star product, terrific basketball player. He's had a great end of the season stretch here, and he's looked really good so far in the tournament. And they still got Jaime Jaquez, still have Tyre Campbell. They got dudes. They got studs. UCLA, I think when you look at this team, yes, losing Jalen Clark hurts, but they got that experience. Mick Cronin, solid coach, really solid coach. Been to a Final Four, obviously. We just talked about it. I like what I'm seeing from UCLA. I know it's been tough. I know it's been maybe not totally inspiring so far what they've done, but or I guess maybe last game against Northwestern, they destroyed UNC Asheville, but that last game against Northwestern, maybe not totally inspiring because I do think TCU is a really good team, and I mean, they played wire to wire with Gonzaga. That was a really tough game for the Zags to win. Had to make some tough shots down the stretch because Mikey Miles was on one.
Big
And he should have gotten more shots up. But no, I think I'm with your dad on this one. I like the Bruins.
Yeah.
If you want to see what Action Network is saying,
yeah,
the public is leaning Gonzaga. I shouldn't even say lean. It's more of kind of hitting Gonzaga hard. 61% of the bets are on the Zags at plus 2.5.
Bruins, baby.
I think it's just a Bruins kind of game. I do. And
revenge tour.
That's another factor. I mean, they lost the first matchup a couple years ago. I shouldn't say first, but they lost that matchup a couple years ago. I think they get them back here. And Gonzaga, their defense is not good. They can light it up, but that defense is not good. If UCLA can hold them to, I want to say, under 70, I think they got a really good shot at winning this game. A really good shot.
They're good defensively.
So I like that we're both on the Bruins here.
Of course.
And the public is heavy on Gonzaga, 61%. That's...
I don't blame them, but like also it's these are different teams, man. These are different teams.
Right. But that's kind of what I was saying. Like I would think in Gonzaga, should they be favored? Like, and I think that's what a lot of the people are thinking. Thinking Gonzaga's not favored. I'm going to bet them as the underdog, right? I mean, that's just kind of where I'm thinking because I was of the belief that Gonzaga would be a slight favorite, but it's the other way around. So
as it should be.
As it should be. And I think that's kind of where Vegas is trying to get you.
Love it.
All right. And in the final game that we have on the docket, it is the nightcap on Friday, 9:45, Xavier versus Texas.
Crazy.
This game, I think, has... to me, it's going to be the best game on Friday. I mean, you look at the other games, San Diego State, Alabama. I think Alabama rolls. Houston, Miami. That one has sneaky potential, but I think Houston gets it done. And if you want some numbers on that one, Action Network, 73% of the public is on Miami plus 7.5.
Wow.
That's way too much noise. That's way too much noise. I want no part of that game because I do think it's hard to cover 7.5, but 73% of the bets on the spread on Miami, I'm going to have to pass on that one. And then Princeton, Creighton, I think Creighton rolls. We'll see. These 15 seeds are just so chaotic, and they scare me, so I don't want to touch that one. But this is interesting. Xavier, Texas. You got the Big 12 conference champion versus, I believe, the runner-up in the Big East conference championship in Xavier. Xavier's playing good basketball right now.
Which is so crazy.
I mean, that game against Kennesaw State, they escaped, but sometimes that's what you got to do in those first rounds. You got to escape. That second game against Pittsburgh, they shot the lights out, and that was without Sule Boom, who is their best player. He's their point guard. He shot 3 of 13. He's 8 of 26 on the from the field for the tournament so far. If he gets it going, Xavier's got a real shot. They got a real shot to not only beat Texas, but to get to Houston and advance to... I don't know if I feel like they've been to a Final Four before, but we always hear about Xavier basketball, but then
tournament comes and they just fall off.
Right, but I think they got a real shot at doing this. The thing is, this Texas team is hot, and they are a tough, tough team. Justin, take it away.
It's funny that we both have Xavier, Texas under brackets. It's just funny.
I know. I know.
Like straight up, I did not believe in Xavier. You made me believe in Xavier.
Dude, I barely believe in Xavier.
Which is
crazy. I know in this bracket I picked Xavier, but in another one I didn't pick Xavier because I just didn't know what to think of them. They were one of those teams where I feel like, okay, they could easily get to the Elite Eight, maybe the Final Four, kind of like Indiana, or they could lose to
Kennesaw State
or
and they almost
Pittsburgh.
did.
And they almost did. They probably should have lost that game to Kennesaw State. They probably should have. And then they just get by Pittsburgh, and I thought Pittsburgh had a real shot. Texas just feels like the team here.
I know.
And that's how the public is reacting because 66% of the bets are on Texas -4.
Ooh, -4.
Or -4 and -4.5. -4.5, I'm sorry.
Interesting number. I feel like I got to go with the Longhorns.
It's so tough. It's so tough.
That 4.5 is like, man, I could see it being like a weird 74-71 win Texas, and you're like,
Right.
Like the
right.
Gonzaga TCU game. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out
Some
TCU,
dumb
man.
bucket at the end.
Great. That was great.
Some dumb bucket at the end from Xavier, just trying to make it look nice, and then it hits.
Ah,
I'm going Longhorns. I'm questioning it, but I'm going Longhorns.
it's so tough because
Xavier can shoot the lights out.
Xavier can do it. They can fill up the bucket. I think the struggle for me is Texas. Texas has been through a lot of tough games, and that Penn State game was another example of a tough one. Can Texas do it again? I mean, that Big 12 schedule is so grueling. It's so exhausting. They went to the conference tournament championship just like Xavier did, but after all that basketball, after all that play, how much more left of, or how much left is, or I don't even know what I'm saying. How much of gas is left in the tank? That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, they got a couple days for a breather.
They got a couple days, right? But how much is really left for Texas? It's an experienced group. It's a veteran-led group. I feel like they can get this done, but something about Xavier, that number just feels weird to me. Like, it's a fair number, but when everyone's hammering Texas, and when I feel like Xavier hasn't even played their best basketball, mainly because their best player hasn't played his best basketball, I feel like there's another level that the X-Men can get to. I'm going to take Xavier plus 4.5. I think no one is going to want this team. I think everyone looks at Texas as the sexy pick. I feel like people want to see the Longhorns do well. No one really cares about Xavier basketball. And yet, they're kind of finding a way to stick around. And I'm telling you guys, Sule Boom is due for a good night. He has not had one yet. It can easily come against Texas. I'm going to take Xavier plus 4.5.
Xavier could beat Houston or Miami and get to the Final Four.
I'm telling you, Xavier can get there. They can get there. And
then they lose to the Huskies. That'd be quite a rematch.
I would like that. I would like that. I mean, if you want to see Xavier's odds, I mean, plus 4,200 to win the whole thing. To get to the Final Four, they're plus 650. So Vegas isn't totally confident in this team. But I like their chances against Texas. I do. Now, against Houston, they might run into more problems, but I think they can get it done against Texas. I'm going to take the X-Men. Screw it. I think the Big East, this is a conference that knows how to get it done in March. They've done it timelessly, and they keep doing it, and we keep almost neglecting the Big East. It makes no sense to me. So I'm going horns down. I'm taking the X-Men.
Horns up.
All right.
With Texas.
All right, so run it down really quick. Classic rundown here. First game up, Michigan State, K-State. They play on Thursday. I'm on the Spartans minus 1.5. Justin is on the Wildcats plus 1.5. It's a helmet matchup.
You bet it is. Oh, that might be a good pick. Yeah.
FAU versus Tennessee. The Volunteers minus 5.5. Rick Barnes' squad. Me and Justin are on the Owls of Florida Atlantic.
Ooh.
What a run it's been, and I think it continues. But I will take them to cover Florida Atlantic plus 5.5. That is what me and Justin are on. Gonzaga, UCLA in that nightcap on Thursday. We are both on the Bruins minus 2.5.
Brew, baby.
Mick Cronin, that team, they get it done in a revenge spot. Vengeance. And then on Friday, the nightcap, Xavier versus Texas. I'm on the X-Men at plus 4.5. Justin is on the Longhorns minus 4.5. He's horns up. I'm horns down. Those are our picks. And the Sweet 16 is upon us. It has been a phenomenal tournament so far. This has been one of my favorite March Madnesses in some time. And it's not just because my champion made out the first weekend. I just feel like these games and the energy, it's back.
Yes, I agree.
I feel like it's been slightly lacking, maybe just a tad, the past couple of years.
COVID had knocked it down when it was canceled, and then everyone's like, how's the first year back going to be? How many people can be there? And then last year they're like, okay, it can be kind of more normal. And this is the year where they're like, okay, it's back.
It feels back. It feels like March is back. And in more ways than one, it has been a phenomenal tournament. It's not just been about the upsets. I just feel like we're getting great games, good quality, and a real difference in the way they're being played, in addition to, it just feels like anyone can lose.
And I love that.
Like,
That's
the only
the
team that
madness.
I've looked at, like the two teams, and I'm not just saying because they're in my championship game, but the two teams that I feel like have been just above and beyond the best, UConn and Bama.
I'll agree with Bama. I'm not knocking UConn,
No,
but purely just.
Yeah, no, Bama's just been steamrolling. UConn, it's taken a little bit of time in the course of the game to.
But they're playing the right
get it
ball at
going,
the right
but they're-
time.
Yes, exactly.
That's the
So
value.
I've just loved this tournament so far. I think it's been great basketball, great teams, great energy, and it's going to continue with another phenomenal round. Sweet 16, Elite 8, and then we get to the Final Four. We'll keep you posted on any picks we like on Twitter. Follow us on STJ, sports betting. I mean, what
Plug
else is
it,
there
man.
left to say? I mean, we got some great basketball, man.
It's great. Great weekend coming up. Another 4 days of hoops. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And just like that, though, it'll already be the Final Four. Just like that.
It's crazy how quick it goes. Like, I mean,
It's just a mosh pit of fun, though.
32 games in those first 2 days, and it just goes by like this, and you're like, wow. And then you get another 16 over the course of Saturday and Sunday, and you're like, now the real tournament starts. Like, we had our fun. We had the upsets.
Now it's game time.
We got some Cinderella stories, Princeton, FAU to an extent. But now it is really time to lock in and make that Final Four push. Make the march to Houston.
Will Houston be there?
I don't know, but I cannot wait to find out. I hope they are for my bracket's sake, but honestly, I don't care either way because we got some great games. We got some phenomenal games.
Big things coming. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Nah.
But a wonderful episode 24, second episode of the madness of March. Will we be, I tongue-tied there. We will be back
Yes.
next week discussing the Final Four
Wow.
and the potential national championship. Well, that's going to be wild. It's going to be wild.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And then before you know it, the mock draft season.
We're a mere 4 or 5-ish weeks away from the NFL draft.
What is happening?
And
What is
then
happening?
it's just going down, man. NBA playoffs are going to hit. And then a quick month there, and the NFL season will be back.
Right. And we also, don't forget, we got the Masters coming up.
Oh, yes. We will discuss
We'll be
that.
discussing the
I love
Masters.
the
I've been
Masters.
keeping up with golf. Probably going to lock in a little bit more as we.
I've been on top of it since January.
All right. So we're going to be locked in with that. We'll have some winners for you. We'll have some top 10 finishers for you.
Woo! Love that.
And then, yeah, man. I mean, we have to do another mock. We have to do another mock.
Absolutely. I shared the mock with some guests on the other show, and they were fans of it.
Okay.
They agree. They like the picks.
Okay.
So we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
They approved.
Maybe we'll bring some guests in for the draft.
Oh, yes.
For the
Discussion.
mock draft 2.0. Have a little bit more variance in who's selected where. Make it a little bit more spicy, per se.
Live audience. Mock draft.
That would be interesting. That'd be fun. And
Get
then
a vote. Get a vote
yes,
going.
yes.
Yeah, live voting.
Yes.
Okay, we might discuss that.
we got tons of options on the table, but it starts here. Sweet 16, Elite 8. We'll keep you posted on the Elite 8, but Sweet 16 is upon us. I cannot wait to watch Thursday and Friday. And then once that Final Four hits, that episode is coming out. And hopefully we see the green and white in there.
We'll see.
At the least bit, just give me UConn.
Wildcats,
Just give me
baby.
UConn.
Wildcats.
If K-State makes it, so what? But
As long as you have UConn.
I need UConn because I know I have Michigan State in my Final Four, but
The value of UConn across the board is more important.
I got so much money in UConn. It is disgusting. I joked about it. I said I need to go to Hartford, Connecticut on a vacation. I'm going to take a vacay to Hartford,
I'll
Connecticut.
go with
if
you.
UConn
I
wins
love
it all.
Connecticut.
We're going to Connecticut if UConn wins it all.
Live stream. We'll be in the streets of Connecticut when they hit the Final Four.
Live from Hartford, Connecticut. We'll go to the championship parade.
Oh, that'd be crazy. We're taking the week off.
Oh, how electric would that be?
That'd be insane. I'd be so hyped. I'd literally be like, go find a jersey real quick. Let's go. Get a husky head. Just start running around. That'd be fun.
Oh, man.
Follow the socials. You know what to do. If you're watching, hit the subscribe button. Like, comment, live it, love it, all the above. We will see you next week. Final Four championship, baby, coming at you. Enjoy this episode of Squeeze the Juice, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Peace. Go green and go Huskies.
Love it.